Hello, everyone. I'm Alex.
And I'm Dylan.
And today, on another episode of Materia Live, the internet's #1 talk show, period, we're going to be talking about what it's like kind of being younger in the retro gaming community, how we got into it, what are our unique viewpoints. I feel like we haven't had a very formal introduction to you, like your profile as a gamer. What are your stats and whatnot?
I would like to say I'm a pretty epic gamer myself.
Nice.
I've been pretty much playing video games my entire life. The first ever video game I played was New Super Mario Bros. Wii on the Wii, and
That makes sense.
I think I was in like first grade, and I'm 22 now, so I've kind of grown up with like mainly Nintendo, like some other like franchises, but like I'm predominantly a Nintendo gamer.
You made it all the way to second grade in that
Yes,
time.
exactly.
So congrats on that. That was
Thank
a
you.
recent thing. It was
Yeah.
huge.
Very difficult, but I did it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, did you have PC games back in the day? I had a big book of like Magic School Bus.
I had like some SpongeBob games. I
Okay,
think
classic.
I had Battle for Bikini Bottom. That's it. Classic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because those were like completely different games on the PC than
Mm.
like their legendary counterparts on the GameCube. What was your first ever console? I guess a Wii, I'm assuming, based on.
I would say yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was the Wii, but I remember in second grade I would because I was a YouTube kid as well,
Of course.
and I would always watch videos about like retro games, but like the NES, because I would say around like the 2012 to 2015, that's kind of when like the NES kind of had like was popular because most of the people that grew up with it became nostalgic for it. Like right now it's for the GameCube, but I remember because my mom used to have an NES as a kid, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever, and I always wanted one. So I think this is gonna sound crazy, but I think we ordered an NES on Amazon, and with Metroid, and we did that on like
$400. I guess at a different time.
I don't know, I don't remember how much. I think it was only like $50.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, I mean, it works. I mean, I remember playing Metroid on my flat screen TV, and it ran like crap because I had to use like an AV out converter. But like, because I always thought of like NES games. That was my favorite as a kid. I thought they were like the most elusive things ever. Then I went to my my local retro game store, which I could still go to today. I think I went in like fourth grade. I remember I walked in and I saw an entire shelf of NES games, and I was just dumbfounded. I was like, what, these things still exist? There's so many of them. And that just like that moment I remember very vividly, because that just blew my mind that like retro gaming, because I know like it's kind of a meme now, like, oh, retro gaming, that's so retro, but like at the time that just blew me away, because to me it was kind of like this ancient distant thing of the past. And like I don't know, it was, I guess I got started with the NES. So
It's interesting where we grew up, where those older games are almost like myths to us, like to a lot of to these ancient people like Andy. Like, sorry. They're like literally just reliving like their childhoods from, years and 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 years ago. But sorry, okay. That's my last old joke of the video, I promise. But to us, they are things we had to just kind of hear about through the grapevine or through the nerdy guy with glasses on YouTube, whichever one it may be. There's a whole species of them. Shout out to most of them, maybe.
yes.
But yeah, they weren't things that like were just like the parts of our everyday lives in that way. And with me specifically, like my dad did own an NES, still does, I guess. He doesn't use it still.
Shame.
But for real. But that's the thing. Like my parents were not like, oh, let's whip out the NES for him because he likes his Xbox 360, which was my first console. So I didn't like like I don't know. I was stuck on Xbox for a while just because that's what my family got. So like the modern Nintendo games were also kind of mythical to me in a way, because
Yeah.
I could only play like Wii at my friend's house.
Mm.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah, I guess kind of bounce off that. Like I said, yeah, the NES. I would always hear stories like from my mom about like when they were a kid, that her and all of like her sisters would play Super Mario Bros. And I remember, I think I was like 5. My mom had on this original Super Mario Bros. On a flash drive on the computer, and that just blew my mind. I'm like, this is like an old game, and I'm playing it. And I remember there was one day I accidentally broke the flash drive, but still like, just like these ancient relics of the past. And like, I have a whole story about Virtual Console too. I remember, again, I was a YouTube kid, so on YouTube I saw Super Mario Bros. 3 on the Wii. I was like, that's got to be a scam. There's no way. And I remember my mom and I, we went to like the Nintendo website and we downloaded Super Mario Bros. 3 on the Wii, and NES Virtual Console games look so good on the Wii Virtual Console. I would say like the NES Mini and like even the Switch Online, they try to like emulate the CRT filter, but like on the Wii, they just did it naturally and it looked so good.
Yeah. Because it could have been just on a CRT.
Yeah. You know, playing Super Mario Bros. 3 as a kid on the Wii just blew my mind. An old game on a new console. And I remember I barely knew the Wii Shop channel. I thought they would like, there was only 4 games for sale at a time because whatever the recommended page, those 4 games were the only ones available. I remember there was one day I was at my friend's house and they had Punch Out, and that was the game I wanted to play the most. I remember I like freaked out. I immediately called my mom, like, Mom, come get me. I want to go home and I want to buy Punch Out. And then like, you know, that I fell in love with that game. That's probably my favorite like NES, definitely my favorite NES game. One of my favorite retro games too. Just so many memories with that game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I never touched an NES until like probably 2021.
Really?
Yeah, no, I literally had never
That's crazy.
maybe seen one in person. Like this wasn't I don't know. I also have always liked video games. Well, actually, when we first got video games, I remember when video games first came out. And we had the Xbox 360 for the first time. I was like, I don't actually like any of this. I like action figures still, and I'm in a protest. And then that's when I got into Bakugan, which that's a whole other aspect of me that you guys don't know about. No, I don't remember. I don't actively engage with Bakugan in my current life beyond some of the video games actually. But my point is, I don't know, it's always cool. I feel like there is a whole culture of that I think my parents maybe were just slightly too old for me to. It seems like your parents retained their gamer status to some degree.
Not really actually. Because they knew I liked it, and like I remember my mom thought one of her sisters had it, so I'd always ask, "Do you still have the NES? Do you still have the NES?" And they did not.
Nice. I have a cousin and a Game Boy in a similar trajectory.
Your cousin's stuck in the Game Boy?
She never. No, she just never gave me your Game Boy.
Oh, that's mean.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
No, that's not.
I understand. I got scammed out of tons of. Oh, this is painful to think about. I sold like an entire booklet of like my Pokemon cards from when I was a kid, like the rare ones from like Heart Gold, Soul Silver era trading card game, for one Game Boy Pocket with a slightly broken screen.
Well, I mean,
and Pokemon Blue.
I guess that's not that bad.
It was like the 80% value of all of those cards was about how much Pokemon Blue and a Game Boy costed. It was like 200-ish probably at the time.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, I didn't completely get scammed, but in retrospect, I see like 5 Game Boys a day in my current life.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm never going to see any of those cards again. So, you know, it happens. Shout out to that guy on Facebook Marketplace. I hope you're doing well. I think I probably also got like $60. Like it wasn't a terrible deal, but I do regret it. But yeah, it was probably in that 2020 era of, you know, there were some things going on. I really started to be like, let's explore video games. And it started with me wanting to get all the old like Need for Speed games because I love racing stuff. Need for Speed and Forza. I was like, let me just like see how many of these I can play on my 360 and buy a bunch of the old games. And then I went on eBay. Next thing you know, I got a PS2, I got a GameCube, and I got an N64, and then my 360. Those are kind of my like original 4. Speaking of that, my PS2 is currently at the doctor. Everyone, thoughts and prayers, please. I left it with Dr. Tony yesterday, and hopefully, you know, I'm hoping for the good word.
It's in good hands.
It is. He's known around these parts for what he can do to a console. Dr. Tony is featured prominently in one Materia video. Do you know what it is?
No, I don't.
Guess. Make up a title.
The Materia video featuring Dr. Tony.
That isn't what it was called. It was our Retro World vlog.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, because he went with us.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. Go watch that video if you want to see what he's all about. Although it's like 9 minutes long. And it's not really about him. It's about the beautiful experience we had.
We love you, Tony.
We do, and we love my PS2.
Yes.
Okay, back on topic though. Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting because I guess what I'm wondering is there like a little more of like a translation struggle for me playing an NES than there is for you? Because I did not play an NES until I was like 20.
No, I pretty much grew up on that stuff. I remember like in 3rd grade, I remember coming home from a basketball tournament, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play some Punch Out. You know, I was just thinking at the time, I guarantee you there's no other kid at my school who knows or cares what an NES is. So like, I don't know. It always made me kind of feel like distant, and then like I met some friends, they like knew what it was but never had it because they just weren't interested in it.
Yeah.
I feel like for a 3rd grader in, I want to say 2012, 2013, owning an NES was very, very niche. And I remember like just all the old Nintendo consoles in general fascinated me, you know. I eventually got my first Super Nintendo in 7th grade, and I also got a Game Boy too. I got the original Game Boy because I really wanted to play Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Oh, yeah.
So then I ordered the original DMG, and then I realized that it was a Game Boy Color game. So then I freaked out. I panicked. I called the Nintendo support hotline and said, "Hi, I just bought a Game Boy original model in Pokemon Silver. Am I able to play it?" And she's like, "Yes, you can play it. It just won't be in color." And I remember I like jumped out of my seat. I was like, "Yeah!"
It was a freeze frame.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful story.
I never got past the 3rd gym.
Yeah, I feel like also for people our age that get into this stuff, this dark stuff, I feel like Pokemon is usually kind of a common denominator.
It's the gateway.
A lot of us. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Lewis doesn't actually really like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it,
That's
so
strange. I've always noticed that, but
he's always been like on his own path, I'd say.
I mean, I don't know. He's turned me onto his path. You know, Sonic is peak.
True. Yeah, he's. I've had a long history with Sonic, but Lewis does make you see him in new lights, and it's a beautiful thing. But I remember, because the only other story I tell in regards to me getting into retro gaming, there is that like one moment like 2020 where I ordered all the stuff in the racing games. But before that, probably in like 2014, I had my 3DS, which was my second console I ever owned, or handheld, whatever. And you know, I loved Pokemon X and Y, and maybe Auras was out at the time, I don't remember. But I was like, I want to play all these old Pokemon games because I had seen I'd figured out how to like emulate like Fire Red and Leaf Green and Red and Green. So if I have any like super or like, you know, super relatively retro experience as a kid, it was from playing like Red and Blue.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't like getting the Mario controls down, but I was playing through clunky RPGs about catching monsters, which is what I've kind of stuck with largely in my life. Yeah, in like 2014, I was like, I'm going to find Black and White, I'm going to find Diamond and Pearl, because I had a 3DS, I knew I could play all the DS games.
Yeah.
And I found most of them. I got Pearl or Diamond around that time. I got Black, and I got Black 2, which, you know, those have shot up in price. Not that I'm ever going to sell them, but, you know, it was good that I bought them then. But I remember even then, I walked into a GameStop and was like, "Do you have any copies of Heart Gold complete in box?" And the guy, like, laughed at me. He was like, "You're not going to find that." Wow. Like, even then, those were elusive games. I have since bought Soul Silver, though, and I paid, you know...
You paid dearly.
I paid dearly for it, but it was like a 10+ year quest for me that finally ended one day at a flea market.
There you go.
What's your experience with Pokemon in regards to all this? Because I do think that is usually a thing.
So, my first ever Pokemon game was Pokemon Red.
Same.
On the 3DS Virtual Console.
Okay, I played it on playr.org.
There you go. That's even better. Because I remember, like, I'd always liked Pokemon as a kid, but I never really got into the games until they came out on Virtual Console. Because, you know, at the time, I had that retro mindset. I was like, oh, retro is better. So,
of course.
You know, I obviously fell in love with the original 151. And then the first Pokemon game I played when it was new, when it came out, was Pokemon Moon. And I remember going from playing Pokemon Red on the Game Boy to the brand new Pokemon Moon. It was just like, wow. And then I went on to play Auras. I played X and Y. I didn't like it, so I stuck with Auras. Yeah, no, I know like it's very nostalgic for a lot of people our age, but I don't know. I played through it for the first time in October. Wasn't a fan. Not gonna lie.
Wait, like this past October?
Yes.
I see. So you missed it. Yeah. I mean, it was the first Pokemon game I ever owned. So
yeah.
That was different. I did also play, but like I said, it was not my first game ever played. Okay, sorry. Back to your thing.
Let me think. So yeah, I liked the 3DS Pokemon games, and then after that I just kind of took a break. I kind of moved on from Pokemon for a bit, and then like towards like the end of high school, I got Sword and Shield, and that kind of rekindled my love of Pokemon, and also playing Pokemon Go too. And then now
The polls.
exactly. That's where they went. They went to the polls. That's why I wasn't liking Pokemon at the time. They were too busy at the polls. But yeah, and obviously, because it was kind of towards the end of COVID that I like reconnected with Pokemon, and ever since then, like if you've seen my channel, you know how big of a Pokemon fan I am.
I do have this. I feel like I've said this theory before, and like I've gotten backlash for it. But I do have this vague premonition that in probably like 5 to 10 years, Pokemon fans are gonna kind of be the new Disney adults in the zeitgeist, which is, I'm admitting I'm going to become one. I have Wooper literally tattooed on my body. It's like over for me. But I just like, kind of like that like uncool 30-something thing to like is going to be Pokemon in the same way that you're like, why aren't you getting married in Lion King costume? But people can get married in a Wooper costume, and it's not going to be that cool.
Now that you mention it, I think you're correct.
But so let's enjoy what we have.
But this is the thing that I think, like, think about it. There's like, I mean, no shade to any 40-year-olds. 40-year-olds are cool, but I feel like a lot of 40-year-old Pokemon fans, they only know Gen 1, so, the Gen 1ers, like, I feel like they're already there, but, we're gonna, like, I'm gonna be, like, 35. My mom's gonna be like, how come you're not married yet? I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get a zero-speed Lunala for Trick Room. You don't understand.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
I guess the takeaway is it's just not cool to be 35. And there's nothing.
34 is cool.
Yeah.
No, nothing wrong with 34.
Yeah. But once you're 35, no matter what you like, it's uncool.
It's over. It's just over for you.
Okay. So I guess we solved that.
Yeah.
What were we talking about before that?
Pokemon.
Pokemon, yes. That was your conclusion.
Yes.
Yeah, but also I'll say I have always kind of been collector-minded. It's just
Me
like
too.
a bug in my brain.
Yeah.
Like I said with Bakugan, I got super into them. Cars from Cars hit me really hard as a 6-year-old. Sick. Yeah. So I have all of the original set of all the cars.
That's awesome.
They're one of my prized possessions. I haven't looked at them in probably 8 years.
I was gonna say, do you still have Tomater?
I have Tomater,
Okay.
and I have Tomater. They had a flashback Tomater where he's like teal because it was like in like the prime of Radiator Springs.
Sick.
Yeah. I have Lightning McQueen. I have Lightning McQueen with his tongue out. I have Lightning McQueen like new
Freaky
paint job
McQueen.
mode. Like they were going at it.
That's
And
awesome.
I was hunk long consunker
That's so
onto
cool.
it. But yeah, so I didn't get into video game collecting as like a thing that I would say that I was into until kind of recently. But even before then, I had the impulse to be like, I'm going to put all my 3DS game cases in one spot and I'm not going to lose them. And like, so I did end up having like that was stuff I like took care of naturally and had from my childhood. And that was like a lot of my, probably 70% of my 3DS collection and like, I don't know, 60% of my 360 collection are just the things I had from growing up. But those were genuinely the only consoles I had on the Xbox One.
Now that you mention games and collecting, when you bring the two together, have you ever played Skylanders?
I've played a little bit of Skylanders. Amiibos got me. That was my sin. But Skylanders I didn't really get into. Disney Infinity is actively stupid, and I am against it.
Yeah, I never got into Disney Infinity.
But I have like most. At some point in the DLC, I stopped trying, but I have most of the Smash Amiibos.
I actually have all of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
I took all mine out of the box, of course.
I have some that are sealed. Like, I have Cloud sealed, obviously, because he's my boy. But I remember 6th grade calling GameStop, hi, do you guys have Ness Amiibos?
Yeah,
because they were so hard to find.
I remember camping outside Toys R Us for a Villager Amiibo. Shout out Toys R Us.
I remember the restock.
They did a restock, and like there was a whole thing of like Villager's forehead was smaller.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, no, I
see graphics of like Villager used to have a 5 head, and now he has a 4 head, and it's
I remember like reading like the Toys R Us catalog. It came in the mail. I remember I circled it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, I need it, because he was part of the original Holy Trinity of unable to find. Him, Marth, and Wii Fit Trainer.
This is coming back to me. That's crazy.
Dude, we can make a whole episode about Amiibos.
We probably could, yeah.
I think that should be the next
I've
episode.
carried some with me. Like a lot of my Amiibos are in my room at my parents' house. But I have Villager, I have Jigglypuff, I have like Pichu, I have Sonic, I have all the ones. I have Kirby, of course. Good. All the ones that are like core to me, I've brought with me. But to be honest, like my Rob Amiibo is still at my parents' house, and I didn't bring Lucas. I've never played Earthbound.
Oh wow!
I think that's another thing about me is like, And I think probably to a certain extent but you seem to have kind of locked in on this. I have not played a lot of like the games you should play to like be a gamer. I have not played Final Fantasy VII, no Metal Gear. I've really never played like Castlevania for more than 30 minutes at a time or Metroid. I've never gone past World like 3 in any Mario game. Like besides maybe Super Mario Land, the one that's on 3DS, the Mario Land.
Super Mario 3D Land?
Yeah. That one I think I've gone decently far in, but every other Mario game I haven't gone that far in. Like there's a lot of these things that like every gamer's like, "Oh, you have to play this game." They might be right, but I haven't, and I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to curate like a unique brain ecosystem for myself. And it is great for rage bait. It does piss people off.
Well, I'm not pissed off. I'm just concerned. I mean, but I've also never played Metroid either. I couldn't get into it, but like...
What about Dragon Quest?
No.
Okay, see, I'm since Andy isn't down here right now, I'm the resident Dragon Quest expert.
But that's the beautiful thing about gaming is that people need to respect other people's opinions and understand that they can acknowledge that a game is good while also acknowledging that that game is not for them. I'll give an example. One game that this is gonna get me a lot of hate in the comments.
It's okay.
One game that I like, but I think is overrated, is The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Now, I'm a huge Zelda fan. I have been since 4th grade. When I was a kid, Majora's Mask was my favorite game ever. It was the first game I ever called my favorite game of all time.
Oh shoot!
And then I replayed it as an adult, I want to say 2 years ago, and I had not played it since I was a kid. I thought it was a good game, but like people glaze that game way too hard in my opinion. I think it's a good game, but like it is not perfect by any means. And you know what? That's okay because I acknowledge that it's a good game. It's just not for me, you know?
Well, is this that like creepy cartridge you bought at a yard sale you were telling me about?
I don't know, Ben drowned. I don't want to talk about it. It's too scary.
You were telling me you got some unmarked cartridge with like markers.
Stop! I have to go to sleep tonight. I'm not going to be able to.
Sorry. No, I've never played Majora's Mask. But it seems cool. I've never played any of the N64 Zeldas. I've never played much of any Zelda. See, this is my life. I've never played any game besides Sega Bass Fishing.
That's okay, and that's the beautiful thing about retro gaming in specific.
Beautiful. There's something for everyone.
I could tell a story about how I got my first GameCube.
Sure.
I got it for free.
Nice.
One day, I was very young, and I want to say I was 10. I was at IKEA with my family, and they don't do this anymore, probably because of me, but in their like bedroom displays, they just had unwired consoles. Remember, they had like PS2, they had original Xbox, and I'd always see that, but I was like, oh, those are cool. But there was one day, they had a silver GameCube, and I was like, that's the GameCube. I remember I like picked it up, I held it in my hand, opened up the disc thing, and I was like, this is a Nintendo GameCube. And I showed my parents, and I just kind of like took it from the display,
nice,
put it into the cart,
as you should,
because I really wanted it, but like I knew, like even if my parents were willing to buy it for me, it's a prop, you couldn't buy it. So we were at the checkout. My dad told the employees, like, yeah, my son, he has some issues. He likes taking things with him when he goes places. Today he chose a GameCube. And the guy was like, okay, sure. And
oh, nice.
I still have that GameCube to this day. I use it, I would say, regularly. GameCube's one of my favorite consoles, so yeah.
Yeah, so the message is you can just take things from most stores.
Yeah.
And it'll work.
Well, it's their fault. Like, why would you leave like a GameCube like not... Because I remember that was the last time I ever saw a console on display at IKEA, so that's on them.
Yeah, maybe they did really stop it because of you. Yeah, I don't know. My console acquisition stories are mostly less interesting than that.
You're not a thief like I am.
That's mostly true. I have downloaded my fair share of ROMs.
Yeah, like playing Pokemon Red on what? RPG.com?
Playr.org, which sounds like it's
so
something
evil.
else, kind of.
Yeah.
But no, it was this website where they just had ROMs of every like Game Boy and like NES game. But I only played Pokemon. Actually, what the hell was that game called? It was like
Amazing Tater?
No, it did like the rounds on like old retro gaming YouTube. Was like, what is this weird Pokemon spinoff? It was like they used cell phones in it or something. It was some like weird Japan exclusive RPG that was like Pokemon, but they used cell phones, and every YouTuber was like, this is weird. But I found that on that. I never got far. But like I don't know, I was very focused on raising my Pidgeot, and I cared about no other games. I had this notion as a kid that I broke because I wasn't like a priest or anything. I don't know. I was like an 8-year-old, and my morals were not that set in stone. But but for most of my life, I was like, I'm not going to play platformers because those are for simple-minded people, and I like complex games like Pokemon.
Yeah.
I broke it for like Rayman. I guess I played Rayman, but he's like mature. But
Yeah.
I remember like
He's
specifically being like, I don't want to experience Mario or Kirby or any of that because that's all for babies.
Yeah, I hate happiness too, man.
No, same. Yeah, they seem like fun, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to like breed Pokemon so that they had certain like values assigned to them.
Well, that's also important, though.
It's important to teach about that in school. But yeah, I don't know. And then I think I probably got Nightmare in Dreamland on GBA. That was probably my first Kirby game, question mark. And it was just one of those things where I got it at a box in a yard sale, which let me tell you, when you're first starting to collect, yard sales are the most exciting
yeah.
thing ever. They've kind of changed now because it feels like everyone you go to, they just have like Minion or like some like
They
Wii
have
workout
Minion.
game. They have Minion and Wii workout game. That's all I find there anymore.
Yeah.
But when you're first starting out and you can just find a box of random stuff and you don't have any of it, it is hype.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to every yard sale out there.
I love you, Rieta.
Rieta Ranch is like a big yard sale. We'll be going there soon.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Do you have any other thoughts about life and collecting?
I agree that yard sales are like, I don't know, they're not the same anymore. It's because now most people, when we go to yard sales, we want to get a deal. We're not going to yard sales. We're not waking up early, driving all the way out there just so some asshole at a stand can be like, "Oh yeah, I'm asking for like eBay prices, so I'm gonna be doing $80 on Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door." Like, dude, no, I want to like. Obviously, that's a little bit of Larry Lowball speaking, but like, I don't know, like when you find the good stuff, it's awesome.
Yeah, if we're going to yard sales, it's because we borderline want to scam your mom at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
out of like a lot of stuff. No, not really. I mean, I've never gotten that
For me, it
crazy.
is.
I've never gotten that crazy good of a deal, and I think the times I have, well, a lot of the times, people have the idea that the things they're selling are worth more, but if you want to sell your $30 game for $30, you probably have to like advertise it and hold it. Like that's the whole thing of like why stores pop up and whatnot. If you want to get rid of it quick, you sell it in a big pile at a yard sale for $2.
Yeah.
Like it's not, people are like, oh, if you're lowballing people, you're scamming them. That's definitely like, there are limits. There are some limits, I would say. But
No such thing.
in general, people want to move stock fast at a yard sale. That's why it's priced low. It's not because they don't know what it's worth. That all to say, I did buy this old lady's entire Sega Genesis collection for like $60.
That's not
And
bad.
she had like every Sonic game, like Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, like the cardboard ones in great condition. But she knew, like she was like, I just literally genuinely only had like $60 in my wallet. Like that wasn't even a trick I was pulling. And I was like, I can pay you this for this box of games. And she was like, okay. And then we did it, and she didn't let me take Snoopy and the Red Baron on the Atari 2600. And to this day, I still don't own it. It was a beautiful, she was a kind old lady, but that is one of the few Snoopy games I still don't have. But she did have High Seas Havoc on the Genesis, which is like a very rare platformer that's like $120 on its own. It was a sick day. It was a sick deal.
Yeah.
And I was a sick, sick man for doing it.
I lowballed a kid before, so.
You lowballed a kid.
I was selling a little Mario thing, like about this big. I'm like, how much do you want on Mario? She goes, $5. And I said, can you do 3? She looks at her dad, and her dad like nods disappointingly. Then I hand her a $5 bill to break the change. So
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, I am Larry Lowball,
I
but
mean, that's a $2. It's not like she had like Little Samson and you gave her $1 for it. If she had Little Samson also, I'd be like, how the hell did you find that?
it's a worthy cause though, because now Lewis has that Mario. So shout out Lewis.
Yeah,
Hope
it
Mario's
went to
treating you well.
It went to a good home.
Exactly.
Lewis will take good care of it.
Hi Lewis.
Hello. You better watch this.
I'll make sure of it.
Okay, good. So, because we've mentioned him at least 4
Oh, yeah.
times. He should show up.
And
in the
Dr. Tony.
background. And Dr. Tony. They all have to get together and have a big party and watch this.
Yes.
I guess if there's any other topic I want to touch on a little more, it is just that thing of like how it feels to play older games. Because I don't know, the NES to me is like a console I play for like 15 minutes at a time most of the time. There's some like River City Ransom. I like that game enough that I do sit down and like play it for 2 hours.
Mm.
But for 90% of NES games, I kind of play them like they're an arcade cabinet almost.
Yeah, that's fair.
Does that feel that way to you, or
Yeah.
are you able? Okay, cool.
Except for Mike Tyson Puncher. That's the only one that I
Okay.
play through beginning to end. And like sometimes Zelda, but like for the most part, I wholeheartedly
Yeah.
agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So besides, maybe that's just everyone then. Besides a few exceptions, most NES games are like that.
Yeah. The NES stands for Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's true.
Yeah.
Remember that. And remember to like and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Like,
share,
That was beautiful. And join the Patreon.
Yes.
And be kind to everyone you meet at a yard sale.
And lowball. Larry's orders.
Larry orders you to lowball.
Yes.
And shout out my PS2. And shout out to Dr. Tony. Okay.